greetings from Senegal. We are very happy to have each and everyone here today. CACHA is an organization that seeks to inspire young people to get access to top education around the world through scholarship. We are very happy to be introducing you today our webinar on education beyond border. We got a little bit a gist, a catch of what is CACHA about, and we are here to continue delivering you our mission of letting you know about scholarship across the continent of Africa, America, Europe, and everywhere. And today, our webinar series of Education Beyond Border Move to Europe, Erasmus Postgraduate Scholarship Program. We are going to bring a speaker who will tell us about the steps that needs to be taken in order to get this scholarship. Most of us finish undergraduate and we think, what is our next step? We get stuck, we cannot find jobs, but we also want to improve our education, get further education, do our master somewhere, but we don't know where to start. We think sometimes that we are old, we don't know which university to apply for. And today we are bringing a speaker who is gonna take us through the process of getting a scholarship into Erasmus postgraduate program. We look forward, everyone, to listen and follow the steps that we are going to have. So the webinar already started and we are going to have our moderator introducing us, our panelist, who will take us through this scholarship process to be part of the Erasmus postgraduate program. Thank you, Garda. I call you on floor to take us through the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amancio. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once more to our very special webinar featuring Jane Wambura Nduta. And my name is Gada. I'm going to be your moderator of the day, and I'm very delighted to guide you through this insightful discussion. So before we dive into our conversation, let me provide a brief introduction to our esteemed guest. And our guest is Jane Wambura Nduta. She is a dynamic professional. She serves as the study abroad consultant, tech specialist, and the Erasmus Mundus Association country rep for Kenya. So her expertise in guiding students through European study options, combined with her diverse qualifications and tech background, provides a comprehensive approach to study abroad advice. And that's why she's here with us today. So Jane holds degrees in dietetics, clinical nutrition via Erasmus Mundus, and an MBA in project management. Now, I can see our audience is very diverse. People are joining us from various countries, and the webinar today, I can promise you, is going to be very exciting. So we're going to get started. Jane, thank you so much for joining us today. So could you begin by sharing a bit about your background and how you came to hold these remarkable roles as a study abroad consultant, tech specialist, and the Erasmus Mundus Association country rep for Kenya? Jane, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Garda, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody else who is joining us. Thank you so much. My name is Jane Nduta Wambura, as they call me on the internet. It's Nduta Wambura on all social media, so you can definitely go ahead and check me out on any one of them that you prefer. Now, I live in Lisbon. I work and live in Lisbon now, so it's been quite a journey, I must say, and I possibly would say that I really did not expect myself to actually live abroad or even study abroad. Honestly speaking, my path was going to be, go to primary school, go to secondary school, graduate, go to university, work in Kenya, and you know how the path is usually in Kenya or any other African country that, you have a path where that possibly you're just going to be within your own country. So it was never my aim to actually live abroad or study abroad. So this came about when I actually, interacted with the international office in Kenyatta University, my alma mater, and I got to know about the opportunity to study abroad through the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship. And that was back in 2014. And here I am. Years later, I graduated in 2017 with the program and, sought to work abroad. And I mean, I think fast forward, because there's so much that has happened in between, but what I can say is that I was not, privy to actually study abroad opportunities, because one, I thought they were not for me, just like any other Kenyan or any other African student who would think that those opportunities are very far-fetched. So that is one of the things that I, like to actually tell someone else like me that, hey, you know what, it is very much possible to study abroad. The opportunities are there. You can be able to grow your career. You can be able to go see the world and open up your mind. If you really want to go back to your own country and start your own thing, then you can definitely do that. So that is how I came about to become the country representative for Erasmus Mundus Association, for which basically what I do is to outreach to get more people to actually, apply and come and study within the European continent. And this is surely for master's programs. So Erasmus currently actually, supports master's programs for full scholarships. However, we do have other opportunities for PhDs. In case you want to do a PhD, there's a European fund, several funds that you can actually go ahead and tap into. So I am happy to be here. In many words, thank you so much, Garda. So you can go ahead and, let me know what you want to hear from me.
Well, thank you, Nduta. So as we mentioned before, we are here today because we are very much interested in the information that you have, and you're packed with information about this program and what it does, what you need to join, what are the processes, what are the steps that you need to follow. So your journey reflects a remarkable blend of education. There's technology, there's international collaboration. So how about we go into the specifics of your expertise? Could you tell us more about your role and what motivates you to help students embark on their study abroad journeys?
Right. So, I mean, having a very diverse background, because I studied dietetics as my BSc, as well as a master's in it, and also did, an MBA in project management. But all these were really preempted due to the work that I was doing back in Kenya, as well as the projects that I was involved in. Now, coming over to Europe and, studying and seeing the gap that there is in terms of the knowledge of programs, or usually the students do not necessarily know how to go about applying for certain programs. And like I said, sometimes the information could be overwhelming. So you find that, you either see loads of information out there and you think, what, this is not possibly for me, or you feel you're overwhelmed and you are not able to actually digest the information towards your own good. Or in other cases, it's all about that, you see a very good opportunity, you bookmark it, and then you remember when it's like a day towards the deadline and you're hurrying up to actually do it the very last minute. So the reason as to why I come in is to ensure that you can be able to prepare ahead of time, so you're not hurrying at the very last minute, and so that you're also able to digest the information that is out there, such that it's not as overwhelming as it would be when you're looking at it on your own. So for this reason, my biggest role as a country representative is to, one, be able to speak to prospective students, and this would be anyone who is in their third year, their fourth year, someone who just graduated, someone who's already graduated and is already in the workforce, and basically to guide you, one, to tell you what documents you need, in terms of what the application process would potentially look like. And also I do lots of webinars where we have program representatives. So these are people who've already gone through certain programs, who actually speak to you and tell you what they did, to apply for their programs. What were the requirements? What fields did they have to have qualified for with their bachelors, and so on and so forth. So my biggest role is that, to outreach to students, as well as also joining hands with the European delegation in Kenya to be able to sensitize even more people to know that there are European funded programs, whether that's masters, whether that's for PhD, whether that's even for projects, because we do now have an EU Africa fund, which is a whole other story on the side, but this is basically my role as a country representative, and I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to see someone else actually benefit from it. And if you take this information and run with it, digest it, be keen to the details, then it's a very competitive process. But however, if you put your best foot forward, you definitely would be able to get in. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nduta. So as you mentioned, Erasmus Mundus is a European-funded postgrad scholarship opportunity. So what advice do you have for students who are considering to study abroad and they are unsure of what country to choose?
Right. This is a very weighted question, because again, I think it's not about what country you actually choose, because Erasmus usually works in a very different way. So now, like we've already mentioned, that Erasmus is a wholly European funded opportunity, and perhaps this would be a good chance to just quickly share my screen to show you exactly what I mean in that sense. The thing is about Erasmus is that, let's see, okay. All right, so I do hope that you can be able to see my screen right now. Yes?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So Erasmus Mundus joint master's programs, they are European funded, like I mentioned before. And the thing that, happens is that, the European continent usually joins hands. So the 27 member states join hands to bring to you these programs. So what happens is that several universities come together, several universities within the European continent come together. And, some universities would say maybe like a minimum of 2 universities. So it would be like maybe 2 to 4 universities that come together and agree that, hey, you know what, we're going to bring up this program known as Masters in Tourism, Masters in Sustainable Energy, and so on and so forth. And we're going to run this program for 2 years. So the programs usually run for 2 years. And the thing about these programs is, like you can see here, they're very open, they're very generous in terms of the scholarship stipend. They're very simple, they're very flexible, simple in terms of even the application process and so on and so forth. So I don't want to bore you with the history of Erasmus, because Erasmus has been there since 1987, going and going. We recently celebrated the 35th anniversary. So I think the thing about Erasmus is that it's a very, strong and very sustainable program that has seen lots of international students as well as European students come to study and be able to actually get into good schools, finish their programs, and maybe work or maybe go back to their own countries and start their own projects and so on and so forth. Well, I think I'm not gonna bore you with the details, but to answer your question is that the Erasmus Mundus joint master's programs, when you hear about these programs, they are basically very high level programs for masters from master's level, whereby they're delivered by consortiums of higher education institutions. So what that means, in other words, is I will give an example. For example, if you find a program where we have a consortium that has Spain, that has Germany, that has Portugal, and maybe France. So what will that mean is that 4 universities from these 4 countries will come together to bring about this program. So which will mean, since this program is for 2 years, it will mean that you have 4 semesters. So it would mean that maybe the first semester, all the students will go to Spain. Then the second semester, all the students will go to Portugal. The third semester, all the students will go to Germany, and maybe the 4th semester, you potentially could go back to any one of those countries, or maybe go to France, depending on the thesis that you are actually tackling, and your supervisor, the location of the supervisor, and the agreement that is there with that program. So for you to complete, you would potentially eventually find that maybe you have gone to 2 countries or 3 countries or 4 countries, or even more, because the mobility within the European continent is very, very high. And in fact, Erasmus actually encourages you to actually go around Europe due to the freedom of movement. So in that case, you will find that by the end of the time that you are graduating, within the 2-year period, you will either be given a certificate by each of the universities that you are actually attended, or the certificate that you will get will include the names of all the universities that you actually went to. So now, basically, what the European Commission aims for is to make sure that, there's lots of mobility, there's lots of competencies in skills, and in any case, if someone has a question, why is the European Commission always doing this, is to basically improve and respond to the labor market needs. Because as you may already know, and maybe you've already heard, that the European continent population is older as compared to the African continent population. And which means that the European Commission is always looking for ways to respond to societal and labor market needs, which is why some of these programs are very crucial to them, so that they can be able to improve the competencies and the employability of master's graduates, because it's very possible for you to, when you graduate with this program, to find a job within any one of the European countries, and that way you potentially bridge the gap of labor. Now, I think I don't want to bore you with any other, terminologies, because there's a lot that comes with Erasmus and all that kind of thing. But I want to go all the way to where you are fully funded. So which means that as you take part as an individual, you are liable to be fully funded, and the scholarship is open to everybody. So I want to make that clear, that the scholarship is open worldwide, and it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter who you are. The thing is that you are fully funded, and you are liable to actually apply for it. So whether you are 20, you're 30, you're 40, it doesn't matter whether you've done a second master's, whether you've done a PhD. And then again, of course, the thing also to check is to, you can always email the consortiums in case you have any questions. And we will do a quick simulation very briefly on how to go about the application process. So the basic requirements that you need would be, first, you have to have held a past higher education degree. So this is a bachelor's degree. You must not have benefited previously from any other EMJM scholarship. And you can apply directly to the consortium. You would also need to have a CV on Europass format. It's usually not mandatory, but it is recommended for you to have your CV in Europass format. These are links that I can share with you. You would also need your personal statement, which is usually the center or the core of your application, as well as recommendation letters. And these recommendation letters would be either from maybe your lecturer, a lecturer you had a very good relationship with, or maybe your employer. However, sometimes people do not want to have their employers knowing that they're applying for certain opportunities. So you can look for someone who possibly knows you very well. This could be a mentor. This could be someone who takes you through your career and so on and so forth. And you can be able to actually speak to them and get them to actually write for you a recommendation letter. Now, before I give it back to you, Garda, I want to share that the grant or the scholarship fund is actually something crucial to realize, because what happens is that if you go throughout the process, you apply for it, you are successful, what happens is that you would be able to be fully funded, which means that you will be able to get €1,000 in scholarship stipend for programs that had, agreement with the European Commission before 2021. However, newer programs, you will find them giving 1,400 per month, which is, a stipend that is good enough for you to take care of your accommodation, take care of your food, take care of your movement between one country to the other, and be able to also take care of your flights and so on and so forth. So the thing is to realize is that before 2021, we still had some programs that are still running to date. And if you get in one of those programs that used to run before 2021, then you would be able to get €1,000 in, monthly stipend. You would also be able to get 3,000 per year in terms of travel cost. However, this is dependent on how far your partner country was. You would also be able to get what we call installation costs. These are costs that accrue towards you settling in your first country of €1,000. So I would want to say that this is a very generous offer from the European Commission, obviously. So this is the reason as to why we always say that Erasmus is one of the most prestigious scholarships that you can get yourself into within the European continent. And for this reason, obviously, this is why, it's very comfortable to actually study within the European continent and be able to eventually graduate and elevate your plight in terms of career and so on and so forth. Now, Garda, I want to stop sharing right now and be able to get back to you. Perhaps you have any type of questions before maybe I can do a simulation of, of how to actually go about and apply for this. So back to you, Garda.
Thank you, Nduta. So I think I'll just let you go on with the simulation, and then we'll reserve the questions and answers towards the end.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good, Garda. So I will go straight on to, so you've had this information. So, hey, what do you do with it? How does it help you? Where do you go from here? So where do you go from here is a question that is always asked on my social media. So I will go ahead and share my screen once again. I do hope that you can see my screen right here. And this is the place that you need to go into immediately after hearing this information. Now I'm going to put this on the chart and then move over to simulate. So this is the catalog where it lists all the programs that you need to actually check depending on your skill set, your experience, and so on and so forth. So one thing that you need to realize about the Erasmus Scholarship or the Erasmus programs, the joint master's programs, is that they are not necessarily just tied into what you studied for your bachelor's. They are also tied into what are your other experiences. So what do I mean by this? So perhaps maybe you went ahead and did a bachelor's in commerce. So you did a BCom in the university for your undergraduate. And then, you went to the job market, it dealt you a number, and you ended up actually working in tech, right? So, and then, which means that maybe right now you have tech skills just because you've been working there, or maybe you did a volunteer experience that was in tech, right? So which means that despite the fact that your undergraduate was in Bachelor's of Commerce, you still have other tech skills, which means that you potentially could be a candidate for a tech program. So how would you do that? You would do that by saying, hey, you know what, despite having my Bachelor's in Commerce, I have the experience of being in tech, and usually that is what the Erasmus Mundus programs would, want to know more. What are your skill sets, despite also having a degree in a different degree? So you will find that most programs will not have the names that we are used to. The way we are used to MBA, executive MBA, MSc in finance, and all these kind of things. So when you come to this catalog, you will not find such names. Like you can see here, it's loads of names that either are European oriented, or they are basically very different, right? So once you come to this catalog, one thing I will tell you for sure is that this website could potentially, put you off because it's not as friendly, and sometimes the keywords and the filters might not be the best of, things to work with in this case. So being your first time, what I can say is go through the whole catalog. I know there are several pages here going 10 and above and so on and so forth. So what I would say is going through each and every one of these pages. You know, the way you scroll on Instagram and Facebook. So I would say this is your chance to use those skills very well and be able to go through this catalog one by one, seeing which program would I potentially be able to actually apply for. So now let's say, for example, you are looking for a program that maybe is in something, I will go very random, maybe something in law, let's say, right? So we would go through, and you could go through whatever and see what you would potentially see. I think I had seen one on page 2. So let's say you are in, let me see, 1 second. I had seen a law program just now, and I just wanted to open it. Or you know what? Let's look for any other something else. Let's even go for things like innovation and e-governance, right? So you see this program right here is said it's public sector innovation and e-governance. So what you will notice with all the programs that are enlisted here, you will have the main name of the program. Just below it, you will have the acronym, which is Pioneer. So it's a short form of the program. And next, right to it is where you actually go ahead and apply. So this is the program website. Then it will also tell you the project locations. So if you are privy to where you potentially would want to, study in, then you can be able to also check which locations is this program being offered. So this program is being offered in Belgium, Germany, and Estonia, right? So these are this is very important information, especially when you're just checking randomly, right? So what does the first link give you? If you click on the first link, it will take you to the details of the program in terms of what has the European Commission granted. So as you can see here is that, and I do hope that you can see my screen. As you can see here is that this project is ongoing. You will find like some projects, say, some projects might have closed. So you could potentially see that, some projects might not have this ongoing, note. However, if you can see here is that this program actually began on the 1st of October 2022 and is going to end on the 30th of November 2028. We are in 2023 and the application process should begin in right about this next month in October. So you're hearing this information at the right time. So because most programs will start opening, and this was another question that is usually relatively asked quite a lot. When is the application period? It's usually between October all the way to February. It's very dependent on a program. So each program has their own opening and closing. So you need to be very careful about that. And we'll speak about it in just a bit. So what do these dates mean to you? So this means, for instance, if you're not ready to apply for this program this year, can you be able to apply for it next year? Yes, because the funding is indicated to end in 2028. So this information is crucial to you, especially if you're not ready to apply right now, or you have not yet graduated and you're interested in this program, or you are, thinking of, should I go to Europe now? Maybe you have life things, job things, etc. So this is very crucial information. So which means that perhaps the last time that you could apply for this program would be in 2026. However, usually there are renewals of grants and so on and so forth. But using this information as of now, you could potentially apply the last time in 2026. So depending on your plans, depending on maybe if you apply the first time, you don't get it, you can still keep on applying and so on and so forth. Now, this particular website will also give you a summary of the programs. What is the program about? What are the partners? And who are the participating countries, and so on and so forth, right? So this is just for you to pretty much consume. However, where you need to go now, you would need to go back to now the link that is right below. And this is very crucial. So the link that you need to always use is the link that is next to the acronym of that program. So, which means it's this link right here. So we will click on that and it will redirect us to the program website. The program website is a very, very crucial aspect of this, because please make sure that you're only clicking on the links that are on this particular catalog, because there are definitely scams out there. So make sure that you're not paying anyone, you're not asking for someone who is just extorting money from you. Make sure that you're applying on the official websites, because application is for free. However, some programs, and very few, maybe 2 or 3, would be asking for application fees, which is not very common with Erasmus. In fact, there's a plea to actually have those 2 or 3 programs stop the application fees. But application is 100% for free. Now that you are on the program website, what are the things to look out for on this particular program website? One thing is the eligibility criteria, which is very crucial in this case, right? So as you can see here, we have the home, about, for current students, for prospective students, and so on and so forth. So you are a prospective student, so you want to perhaps potentially see what is the program about, right? So in this case, you can click for that, and you can be able to see this program is about, enhancing, students who are interested in the public sector, and so on and so forth, right? And in that same tab, we do have, the selection procedure. We do have practical information. What I want you to check first is, to be able to see your eligibility. What is your eligibility criteria? And just because we are working with, Kenyan students, someone who is not in Europe. So here is for candidates who are non-EEA. So this is the European Economic Area. So, so if you have a degree that is obtained outside Europe, then this would be the requirements that you need. As you can see, usually they would have very generic requirements, like we mentioned before. I did mention about this, but transcripts is something that you need. You would need, when they say diploma here, this is the degree certificate, right? Some programs might ask for English proficiency certificate. However, you can request for a waiver from the program itself and say that, hey, you know what, I studied in English, and would you be able to accept a letter saying that I studied in English from my university, such that you don't have to actually do the English proficiency certificate test. However, if they say no, then you would need to do it, which is the reason as to why you are listening to this information at a very crucial point in time, because you can be able to go through all the programs, see what they're asking for, and request the consortium itself directly for some things like waivers. And where do you do that? You go on the contact section here, and I will speak about that in a bit. So you also need letter of motivation, you need your CV, you need your proof of nationality, which is obviously your passport. So if you have not even started checking your passport, this is the time to actually apply for it. I know there has been talks in Kenya, especially about passports, so please make sure that you do have proof of nationality, which is your passport. However, in case your passport might not be ready by the time you're applying for this, you can also ask the program whether you can maybe use your national ID. Like you can see here already, they mentioned it. For EEA citizens, they do have that option of using their national ID. However, for non-European, citizens, you would need to request whether you can be able to use your national ID in the meantime as you wait for your card, your passport to be, processed in your house or wherever else it is that you're actually going to do that. Now, for English language requirements, they usually, if they say no, they usually stipulate which tests they are looking for, and you can be able to actually go ahead and see that. So this is one of the things that you really need to check. What are the requirements that they are needing? And also to check the eligibility criteria, I want to also share one more thing here before, let's see. Okay, I want to see. All right, okay, I just want to see the practical information perhaps, whereby you would be able to see your eligibility criteria. So I think it's not there. It should be something. All right, so, okay, so yeah, it should be here. So it would be able, you would be able to see that this program is accepting, let me see, combining the expertise of public administration, public management, information systems, and e-governance. So if you have studied any one of these, really, you should be able to actually qualify for this program. Now, you can be able to always ask, like I said, any of the questions that you might have on the contact section. So in this case, you would be able to contact this email right here for this particular program. And I will tell you for free, they usually reply every single email. So do not feel like, the way we are skeptical in Kenya, you're like, okay, I don't think they will ever reply, but these ones, they always reply, because it's an agreement with the European Union that they would need to help students as much as possible. So they do reply to their emails. So if you have any particular question that you have for any program that is enlisted on the website, then you should be able to actually go ahead and send them an email so that you can be able to know exactly what to expect. And if you have any specific questions about the English language test, or perhaps you want to request for them to allow you to use your ID in place of your passport as you wait for it, these are things that you can be able to actually go ahead and check out. So I would encourage you to go through the whole website, all the program websites that you are interested in. I know it's a lot of work, but in the end, it's actually a very, very, very rewarding thing to do. Now, as you can see here, like I had mentioned before, this is the program. So what is going to happen is that, you would be able to go on semester 1, you go to KU Leuven. This is in Belgium. Then for your semester 2, you would be able to go to University of Munster, which is in Germany. I'm sure I am butchering that name, but hey. Then you would go to e-government and e-governance in Taltech. I do believe that this is in Estonia. And like I mentioned before, your 4th semester, you would be able to be the one who decides where you would be able to go back. This is dependent on what you want to actually do on your thesis, your supervisor location, and the agreements that you potentially will have with this program. Now, there's a lot of information that is right here. There's also social media. If you are into social media and you would like to ask questions on the social media handles of each and every one of these programs, each of them really do have social media handles, so you can be able to check. Now, I will go ahead. I think there's a question. Obviously, I am so sure there are loads of questions, but I will go to the main website so that you can be able to actually see. I'm just going to click back so that we are in line here. So, okay. And the thing is, obviously, is that here we are. So there are now 193 programs. And what I wanted to mention before I can give it back to Garda is the fact that 193 programs can be very overwhelming to you. However, you can decide to use the filters. These filters might not really work very well for you, but you can definitely certainly use them if you prefer filters. I will tell you for a fact that you will not see like MBA or executive MBA. You would possibly probably see like, a business course. You would not see like a Master's of Science in Computer Science. No, you will see a program that is connotated towards that, which allows several, skill sets or several, bachelors for them to actually go ahead and do that program. But if you're a filter person, you can definitely come over here and use the filters used by the field of study. And in this case, for example, if you're looking for maybe a program in social sciences and humanities, you can possibly like click on that and see what shows up, right? So you can see, like Masters in Tourism Management, there are several programs depending on what your field is in, what your skill set is in, what your volunteer experience is in, and so on and so forth, because you're not limited to the bachelor's that you actually studied. Now, there's a lot that goes on, and there's a lot that I speak about. You can obviously always follow through into the webinars and all the videos that I potentially do. But I want to stop sharing right here because in the essence of time, and be able to speak to you directly. Maybe if you have any questions. So Garda, if you can take it from here. I know it's a lot, but yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful, Nduta. So I have a question that I'm sure I share with a lot of the people in our audience. And for a program like Erasmus Mundus, I am 100% sure that it attracts a lot of applicants from all over the world. Now, what are some of the tips that you can share with everyone here on how to best enhance their application to make sure that they get in?
Yes, absolutely. That's a very good question. So what is one of the core things that you need to, have so that you can stand out among all the global applicants that might be there on the program of your choice? One thing, the core, the make or break of your application is your personal statement. What you say on that personal statement is really going to make or break you. Remember, this is a program where you're introducing yourself to someone who's never met you, and you're telling them, you know what, please fund me for 2 years and give me all this money, give me all this, tuition fees, insurance, etc. Give me all this, and so that I can be able to make my life better. So what you say on your personal statement is the core, because it really needs to resonate with what appears on your CV. It needs to resonate on what you potentially could say on an interview, because some programs, and this is some programs, would have an interview towards the very end so that they can make a decision of whether you are the best candidate or not. So I've spoken a lot about your statement of purpose in terms of, what you put in, like even your first opening statement, because I mean, coming from an African continent, what we do is that we speak a lot and we use a lot of words, and we think that using a lot of words, even on the statement of purpose, will make us look better, which is not the right thing, honestly speaking. So if they say that they want a 500-word statement, which is very common for these programs, or they want a 700-word statement or 1,000 words, stick to those 1,000 words in the first place. And also, what you say as the opening statement, imagine yourself that you're reading a statement or a news item or a Facebook post or whatever it is. The first few words either make you keep reading, or you're like, okay, moving on swiftly with my life, right? So think about this statement as something that you're writing to someone who you would want for them to keep reading your statement of purpose so that they can, feel that you are the right candidate. One thing I'll tell you for sure is that there are no bots that read these statements. There are people who sit. There is a committee that sits and checks each and every one of these statements. So, for instance, not putting, what I call, quote unquote, poverty porn, whereby you're like, we are very poor in my country. We are very poor. I was born the only child. We are very poor. I'm the only one who went to the university. Everybody's gonna say that. Right? So what puts you apart, sets you apart, as much as, hey, perhaps you came from a very humble background, but what have you done with that humble background? what sets you apart as a good candidate? What are you bringing into this program? What skill set do you have already? What have you garnered over time that gives you a very good stake as being a good candidate, right? And also, what exactly is it that you want to do after this program? Is it that you want to maybe work within the European continent? It's okay to say that. Is it that you want to do a PhD? Is it that you have a program or a project that actually is going to help, you will continue, and you studying in Europe, will help you, give you the right skills so that you can be able to continue this program? What exactly is it? Like, you need to think about yourself as an individual. I know some of us are multifaceted, multi-skilled, diverse, and all that kind of thing. So what you want to sit down first and think about is, what skill sets do I have? Write them down, right? Once you write them down, strike out which actually apply for this program, right? Which actually apply for another program, and so on and so forth. So these are things that you really need to think about ahead of time. And like I said, you're listening to this at a very, 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 very good time, because the programs will start opening for applications from October, depending on the program that you're choosing. You can be able to also check the deadlines on the program websites themselves, because they vary. And you can be able to see that, let me start preparing the first week, second week, and so on and so forth. So one of the things that is very crucial is your statement of purpose, also keeping the deadlines, making sure that someone else also reads through your statement of purpose, checks your CV, checks your general application to see whether it suffices or not. Another thing that can really help you is checking for past students and approaching them in a nice way and asking them, hey, how was your application like, right? Where can you find these people? You can find them on LinkedIn. You can find them on social media. Obviously, just don't go to someone's LinkedIn or social media and just say a hi, and then you expect for them to actually reply to you. No, introduce yourself in a very nice way. Hi, I am so-and-so. I am Duta. I am interested in this program. I have been looking at the program website. Perhaps there's something that's not clear. Could you be able to maybe take a call with me to guide me through the process of applying? Or would you be able to take a minute with me to tell me whether my CV is at par or my statement of purpose is at par? These are things that you would need to do, and doing the work is very rewarding. So this is something that I would say is a make or break, because everything else is standard. Your documents, your certificates, your transcripts, your language certificate, and so on and so forth. However, also, very crucial point to also check on any of the program websites is how they are actually going to be grading your application. So this information is always on the program website. Some program websites, they will give you, like, say, statement of purpose would be 10%. Your general application would be 5%. This and this, your interview would be 50%, depending. Some programs actually give that information, so you can give weight to where it matters more, and so on and so forth. So I hope I answered your question, Garda.
You have, Rita. Thank you so much. I will now open the floor to questions from the audience, and I will start with a question from Andrew Ngila. Andrew asks, I am 40 years old with a bachelor's in economics and over 15 years work experience. What are my chances, and are there unwritten rules as I give it a try?
I mean, your chances are as good as your application. Like I mentioned, there's no age limit. What you put on that application, what you put on that statement of purpose, and so on and so forth, your chances are as equal as anybody else within the globe, honestly speaking. So what I can say is, do your due diligence, be able to check out the catalog and see what actually works for you, and go for it and apply for it. I will tell you for a fact that, obviously they are very competitive, as you can be able to see. They are very generous, very competitive programs. So which means that do not feel discouraged, or do not put all your eggs in that basket. If for instance, they say that, hey, you're a good candidate, but we cannot be able to pick you out, please make sure that you're also applying for more programs so that you can cast your net as far and wide as possible. So what I can say is that, you apply for three, 4 programs, or even 5 programs, depending on your skill set and the diversity and the programs that, you think that you actually qualify for. So cast your net as far and wide as possible. Make sure that you can be able to actually apply for these programs, in a way where you're doing your very level best. So take your time with them. What you can say is that this is the last quarter of the year. It's a make or break. Make sure that you can sit down, do the work, and what you can do is just wait and see whether they actually pick you up when you do a great job. So for sure, it's possible. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Sorry, God.
Amancio, please go on.
A quick question. Someone asked, we know the answer, but I think it will be good to clarify to everyone that if the government of Kenya is involved, plays a role in the recruitment process, and they also ask if there is any WhatsApp group to get where this information is shared constantly. And the third question, because I know that those questions, I'm trying to group them in a short question, is what is the timeline? If I apply today, when will I know that I got rejected or I get accepted? I think that timeline, Pedro, it helps people also, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So the Kenyan government has no stake at all. It's not a nomination program like the Commonwealth programs that we have, or where you would need to go through the Ministry of Education in Kenya. No, you don't need to go through any ministry in any continent. So you can directly, apply. So which makes Erasmus one of the easiest programs to actually apply for, because there's not much of bureaucracy, honestly, that you need to go through. Now, the application process depends on the program. So which means that you would be able to see when the program closes for applications. So if, for instance, the program closes for applications in, say, something like January, you should be able to expect the results in around April or thereabout for you to begin your studies in September of 2024. Right. So, I mean, the thing is, this information is always published on the program websites. They would be able to tell you exactly when they will be able to publish the results. They will tell you when they will close, when they will potentially have, interviews and so on and so forth. So this is information that you can find on the program website. Now, I think also, there was another question about, I can't remember now.
WhatsApp groups? Yeah.
Oh, WhatsApp group? No. We don't have a WhatsApp group because obviously information is going to get lost very easily on a WhatsApp group. What we have is a Facebook group where all information is shared there. You can be able to actually ask questions there. I will share the link of that Facebook group shortly on the chat so that you can be able to follow through. Really, what I do is try to tell you what applications are open, try to see whether we can be able to get program representatives to actually speak about these programs and so on and so forth. So you can join that group. You can ask pretty much any question. You can use the search function of that group because there's a lot that has been discussed there, and you potentially could find your answer right there without having to go anywhere else. So no, we don't have a WhatsApp because you will have several messages being lost. So yeah.
Another follow-up on that, I think after asking the Kenyan question, it's very important to clarify that it's open to everyone across Africa to start. But we always wondering, which country has more people getting accepted to Erasmus program. We understand that more, how can I say, technologically developed country, the countries that have more access to internet, that they are technologically educated, are more likely to have many people applying. So when you think about countries like, let's say Angola, Mozambique, what is the likelihood? How many people, maybe if you can estimate, per year that can take in Kenya, maybe in Nigeria, in South Africa, and in some of those small countries where there is few people politically applying?
Well, that's a good question. The thing is, there used to be a caveat of the countries of the programs used to have a caveat of we cannot take this number of people from a certain region, etc., and all that kind of thing. Some programs still do have that caveat that maybe they can only take like 2 to 3 people from a certain country, depending on the availability of the funding that they have. We currently have, according to the statistics, we have more Nigerians actually taking more people because, as you can imagine, Nigeria is a big country. There's no way we can compare ourselves to Nigeria ever. So they definitely have more, successful applicants, but also because their community is quite large, which is something that we are trying to emulate. We've done quite a lot with the Nigerian community as well to be able to support even more Kenyans and more people from countries like Mozambique, the global South Africa, and so on and so forth, because we have less people from these regions. And so the thing I can tell you for sure is that right now, I cannot quite say that there's a caveat as to, if you're applying from Kenya as compared to someone who's applying from Mozambique, that you potentially have a lesser chance as compared to someone who comes from what we call quote unquote technologically savvy sighted country like Kenya. That's not something that actually is something that we can be able to say. Because it's not true, because it doesn't matter where you're coming from, whether it's a technologically savvy country or not. So what I would say is for you to be able, you have an equal chance, whether you're from Mozambique, from South Africa, from Zambia, from Kenya, Nigeria, pretty much everywhere, you have an equal chance. What matters is, what are you saying on that application? Why, who are you? Are you presenting yourself as in the application, in the interview, in your CV? Because you do have an equal chance, and you have to believe that for you to be able to actually be successful in any scholarship application, whether that's Erasmus or else. So what I can say is, yes, we've been having more numbers from Nigeria. We used to have more numbers from countries like Ethiopia in the past. We are trying to come up also in Kenya. We really were struggling in Kenya because people didn't know about the program. People were not even wanting to apply for the programs. We had I would say in a couple of years, it was 8, 9 students, 10 students. Now we at least in double digits. We now currently had 25 students who are coming in this year. So which is an improvement because we've been doing a lot of outreach, a lot of work, and so on and so forth. So you do have an equal chance. In many words, you do have an equal chance, and you have to believe that. You have to really, get over your skepticism, I would say, and be able to realize that, yes, this is a program for you. This is a program that you can get into. And in fact, even if you don't get it into it, you can be able to go ahead and shoot your shot on any other program out of the experience that you've had applying for Erasmus. That is 100% something that I would tell you for free.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Garda, do we have a lot of questions in the chat on Facebook also?
Yes, I wanted to make a joke and say, somebody said, if you go to a country and you don't find Nigerians, just get out, because there's nothing in that country. They know the best places to go to. So, Duta, I have another question for you. What opportunities are available to graduates of the Erasmus Mundus program in terms of further education or employment? Because we have other scholarships or other opportunities that give you a cap. They say, for example, if you're coming to country B, for example, if you're going to China for your studies, as soon as you're done, you're given a requirement to go back to your home country. So does this program have something like that, or it's very open to the applicant to choose what to do and what not to do?
Absolutely, great question. So the good thing about Erasmus is that they will not have that caveat for you to go back. So in fact, what I mentioned before, is the European Union is actually trying to sensitize more and more workforce. So which means that this is one of the programs that, is able to attract people, international people. And yes, you can be able to graduate and go into the workforce because yes, there are jobs for you. I mean, nowadays we have loads of schemes that are happening in various European countries. Out of my head would be Germany, would be the Netherlands, would be Estonia, would be Portugal. There are lots of schemes for you to actually look for jobs after you actually graduate. And the good thing is that now you would be able to change from a student status to a work status, because yes, it is a lot of bureaucracy that goes on in with the paperwork. However, it is very much possible. So there's no caveat for you to actually go back. It's not like the cheapening programs where you have to go back to your own country for, I think, 1 or 2 years before you can either come back. So that's the beauty of Erasmus, is the flexibility of it. It's the openness of it for you to be able to actually move from any one country to the other. The opportunities are endless. This could be you maybe looking for a PhD. So what I can say is, obviously, if you're a successful student, it's not to just come and sit on your own cocoon, be able to network, be able to find where those jobs are, depending on the country that you actually see yourself staying in, and also be able to network with your, people like your supervisor or your lecturers who would be potentially your supervisors for a PhD opportunity, or perhaps maybe if you are looking to go into the research or work in the university. So this is something that you can be able to look into. And there's lots of funding for PhDs, and you can find these funding opportunities be it on Horizon 2020. These opportunities are on Euraxis website. I will leave a link of that website here. So yes, the loads of opportunities within the European continent. And who knows, perhaps maybe you could also find an opportunity outside the European continent and go somewhere else. Who knows? This is all really up to you, and there's no caveat that you have to actually go back to your own country. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll take this question from Nelson as the last question to close our session for the day. And Nelson asks, where or how can one get help with structuring their motivation or statement of purpose? And is there like a specific format for the same? And question 2, he asks, when one is not successful in one application period and goes ahead to apply again later, is there a possibility of getting the second or third?
You're on mute, Jude. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. So very good questions, honestly. So I think the first question was about, where you can be able to structure your motivation statement. And the thing is, obviously, this is information that you will have to actually do your own research in the first place, because at least you can be able to actually check. One, the thing is, you have to go by what the program website says, because some program websites will give you a certain titles that you can be able to use for you to actually do your statement of purpose. So they will tell you, we want you to answer this and this and this question. Some of them help with that. However, some don't. They will just tell you, we want a statement of purpose that's 500 words or 700 words. So in that case, you would now need to be able to connotate that towards the program. What I say is that we've spoken a lot about a statement of purpose. That's a whole webinar on itself, really. I've done a couple of videos, so you can check some of them on my YouTube on how to structure and how to go about each and every one of the paragraphs, because this is something that you need to take your time with. The format is really not necessarily connotated to any type of, font or basically what we say is that, just go by the number of words that they have said, whether that's 500, 700, 1,000, depending. And what I can say is also make sure that someone else can actually read your statement of purpose. So you can find, like I said, previous students would be a very good thing for you to be able to approach and ask them to maybe read your statement of purpose and see whether it's actually sufficing. the thing is, obviously, this is something that you would need to first pour out into. Let you be the one who writes this statement. Don't ask, you know how we do in Kenya, sometimes you ask someone to actually write the statement for you and you just consume it and you'd be like, yeah, or you ask someone to send you their own statement of purpose and then you just copy paste, or maybe nowadays use ChatGPT. I'm telling you, please do not use these other ways. Please go and do the work and write this the statement of purpose. Be able to have someone read it, be able to use resources that I have on my YouTube. I have several other people who've gone through the program could potentially, have spoken about the statement of purpose and be able to see where that leads. Now, if you're not successful in one application period and you go ahead to apply again later, yes, you can definitely be able to get in. I did not get my own scholarship the first time that I applied. So I applied the first time, I got not rejected, I was put in a reserve list. What that means is that there was not enough money for that particular financial period. And so I had to apply the second time. And when I applied the second time, when I got it. So yes, you can be able to actually apply for it a second time. And this is the reason why I was saying, do not put your head into, saying that, this is the only opportunity that I can actually apply for and I'm waiting for this. Spread your wings as far and wide as possible. I mean, if you feel that obviously this is some people say, you know what, I've heard about Erasmus, but it's not my thing. If it's not your thing, please take some of facets of the information that I have shared here, use it for maybe another program if that is what you would wish for. So yes, you can apply for a second time, you can apply for a third time, you can apply for 5 times. There are people who've applied even for 8 times. And so on and so forth, and they got it at the very last minute. So spread your wings, do not give up, make sure that you can keep going as much as you can. Yeah.
Wonderful. So how can our audience connect with you or stay in touch after the webinar if they have further questions or they want to continue the discussion? Where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me on LinkedIn. I prefer usually you just go onto the Facebook group because I'm the one who manages that group and I can be able to answer your question directly. That way it's more, time, it saves my time as well because I sometimes don't have time to check my LinkedIn messages. So make sure that you can join in that group. I have shared the link right here. You can also find me on places like YouTube where I share quite a lot of information even with other people who've gone through the program. Perhaps I will share my link to my YouTube right here. The thing is, obviously, so I can see just one other question that I had seen on the chat. Can someone with the second lower division can apply to? Yes, you can actually apply with a second lower. The thing is obviously to make sure that your application is up to the T in terms of what are your experiences despite you having a second lower and so on and so forth. So I think this is information that I also share quite a lot sometimes, and in any case, I will be sharing more starting this October because that's when it will be more relevant. So make sure that you can be able to tune into any one of the webinars that I might have in the future or even with the group for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Sorry. There is one last question that someone put there. Can you check it in the chat, please? It's like, can we have more of this discussion when the application opens?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I will, like I mentioned before, I would be able to actually have a few webinars coming up in the near future. So you can be able to look out for those. I post them on that group and if you have any specific questions, I answer them on that particular group, such that all information is in one place, and anyone who is joining in from outside is able to see the information there. And it's an evergreen space where you will not have to find information, and you will have to keep on asking the same question over and over. So yes, we can definitely have such discussions in the future. So be able to look out for them and join them and see. As you can imagine, I have so many questions that come my way. So I might not be able to answer them all the time, but you can also follow me. Sometimes I have like a Q&A, maybe on my Twitter or my Instagram, depending on the day. So you can be able to also check out for those sessions and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Okay, just to be clear, are your handles your name, Jane Ndutawambura, everywhere? Or if they're not, then maybe you can share that you can share the link in the chat. You mute.
Sorry. So I was checking for my YouTube link. So yes, so I am Ndutawambura on all social media. Name it, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's Ndutawambura. And so you can pretty much check. So all my social media, it's the same, so that you can be able to find me on the one that you prefer. And please make sure that, sometimes it's very, very difficult for me to actually find some messages. So if I take long, don't worry. I am one person. I have a day job as well, so I have lots of things going on as well. So be kind. And I would say on the group, I possibly answer to more messages much faster on the group as opposed to anywhere else. So post them on the group. You can post anonymously nowadays if you feel that you don't want to be known by anybody on the group. So feel free to actually post it there, and I will reply as soon as I can. Yeah.
Thank you. Just to do a recap of the discussion we've had today, for you to qualify for the Erasmus Mundus program, you need to make sure that you have your documents right, and you need to have done a very thorough application, and also make sure that you fit the eligibility criteria. So as we conclude, Jane, what message or advice would you like to leave with our audience, especially those who aspire to follow a similar path as yourself, either in joining the Erasmus Mundus program or any other program abroad?
Right. So I would say that, first of all, is the power of belief. Believe that you actually can be equal to the task, because like sometimes it's like always we shoot ourselves on the foot before we can shoot our shots. So it's like, you're like, oh my God, can I be able, will they even want me, all these kind of things. So you really need to first have the power of self-belief. Is very, very crucial in this process, whereby you're, doing the work and you believe that this is going to definitely be for you, because that will change so many other things along the way. And also the fact that you also do not need to just think that one way, this is it, this is only the one program that I want, I'm not going to apply for any other program, this is it. Cast your net as far and wide as possible, and open your mind into the fact that this is going to take a lot of work. However, this is going to be work that maybe I put in within the last quarter of the year, and it will reward me in say September of 2024. So make sure that you can put this in your head. That way you see the process as an investment towards your future. And, do you want to invest in your future? Yes, 100%. So make sure you can absorb all the relevant information out there. Don't be skeptical. Make sure that you're also absorbing the relevant information in the right places, so that you're not being wayward and being told, oh, do this, oh, do that, oh, I've heard of this, oh, I've heard of this. No. Don't go by the hearsay. Go by what you can see. Go by what you can be able to see on the program website. Ask the questions. Make sure you can ask the question. Don't sit down in, 1 day, 2 days, wondering, oh my God, is this how it goes? Ask the question. Ask what is going on here? What can I do here? Research as much as possible, do the work, and be able to see the results in the future. So that's basically what I can say. It's what has worked for me, being very curious, staying curious all the time, asking the right questions in the right places, in the right forums, approaching people in the right way. People can be very helpful, especially prospective students. The consortiums can be very helpful as well. So don't be afraid to ask these questions, because in the end, you're investing in yourself. And when you're investing in yourself, then you definitely will, have the courage, and you have the motivation to keep going and asking and doing the work. So yeah, that's what I can say. Don't shoot your foot before you shoot your shot.
Thank you. Thank you, Jane, for sharing your invaluable insights and experiences with us today. We are very honored, and we truly appreciate your time and expertise. And I'm just going to ask everyone, if you can, unmute yourself, and let's give Jane some snaps, some finger snaps, just to appreciate her for a job well done. Shall we? Thank you. Well, thank you, Jane. Wow,
and
thank
also
you.
take a group picture.
Yes, and to our audience, I also want to thank you for making time and for joining us, for participating in our discussions. And I just want to remind us that we have this sort of webinars on study abroad topics every month, and we're looking forward to having you again next month. So before we go, I could ask that we all turn on our videos so that we can take a group picture.
Also, Garda, can you mention them, to ask them to fill a small survey that we have there?
Yes, as Amancio said, there's a link, if you check the chat box, a survey to just give us feedback on how the webinar today was, and we would really appreciate that. So cameras on, and let's do the group picture. Maybe Eugene, you can turn off, remove the spotlight so that we have everyone. Yes, thank you. Eugene, you can lead us.
Okay, so I'd like to request everybody to please turn on your camera. I think we have quite a number of people who are still off. Great. Yeah, thank you. Thank you to all the people who are turning their cameras on. There's still quite a number. There's still a few more. We're just going to take a few quick shots. Okay. All right. I think maybe some people are in a position where they cannot take a screenshot. I mean, sorry, they cannot turn on their cameras. So I'm going to take some photos in a few seconds. So I'll just count down. Please smile. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Smile. And because there are multiple screens, I'm going to take a few more. Please smile again. Fantastic. I'm going to take 2 more. So again, smile. And the final one, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, smile. Excellent. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Eugene. Thank you, everyone. And follow us on our social media handles, shared in the chat box, Catcher on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. And thank you very much for your time. And snaps to Pauline, snaps to Nduta, snaps to Amancio, snaps to everyone who made this possible today. And see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
Don't forget.